So far we have already discussed a number of models which will be used for the design purpose. Okay, whenever we are going to design any software package or big software or system software, or we can say the application software, then we have to follow some sort of models, and three models we have already discussed. So this is the process iteration, how we will process during the design phase. Now you can emphasize over this. System requirements always evolve in the course of a project. So process iteration, where earlier stages are reworked, is always part of the process for large system. So here, whenever we are going to develop any big project, or we can say the large software, or we can say the system softwares, or the variety of system software like the compilers or the assemblers, then in that case, we process and we use number of loops, sort of iteration. We can say the number of iteration involved during the implementation of the particular software. Okay, so in this case, we just consider a number of parts. We divide our problem into a number of parts, and then we consider part number one. So far, we have discussed version 1, version 2, version 3, like that. Okay, and suppose after the implementation of part number 5, or we can say the block number 5, then the block 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are called the iteration. Okay, and in each part we can check finally the program, and suppose we have any problem, then again we will backtrack. Okay, and we can work easily on the part number 2, or we can say the block number 2, and each phase will consist design, coding, testing. Okay, in one of the model we have already seen that it is divided as requirement analysis, and then design, then code, then test, phase 1. Similarly, again, design, code, test, phase 2, again design, code, test, phase 3, and so on. So these phases we can treat as iteration. Okay, and we can backtrack and can work easily on iteration number 2 or 3. So here iteration can be applied to any of the generic process models. So we can use this processing system to any process model. So far we have studied up to the spiral model. Okay, two approaches we use mostly: incremental delivery and the spiral development. So these are two models which we can use. Here there are two approaches: incremental delivery and spiral development. Okay, so because we are working on iteration based, it means we are increasing step by step. Okay, that is called the incremental system. Or ultimately at the final stage, we will deploy our software. And second one is called the spiral development. This is also one of the approach which we can use for the development purpose. Okay, because you have already studied about the spiral model. In this case, we will divide our whole process into number of regions, and number of regions will involve sort of requirement analysis, design, coding, testing, deployment of the particular software. So what is the first approach? That is called the incremental delivery. So here you can see, rather than deliver the system as a single delivery, the development and delivery is broken down into increments. Okay, so again here we will start from the initial stage, that is from the requirement analysis, and our approach is to get the final stage, that is called the testing, and after that deployment. So here we are again going to break all the phases so that it may easy to manage. Okay, so each increment delivering part of the required functionality. So again, we will debug in each and every phase. We will test our software. User requirements are priority. Okay, and the highest priority requirements are included early increments. Okay, so just we will concentrate over the requirements or the specifications which will be provided by the user or the particular organization. So always we will give the priority to the requirements, and after that we will increase inch by inch, and we will follow all the steps. So once the development of an increment is started, the requirements are frozen. Here, the condition is whenever we will complete first phase, even the initial phase or the first phase will include the requirement analysis, designing, coding, testing. But after completing the first phase, we can say the requirements will be frozen. Okay, that we cannot return back. We can work on the second phase and similarly on third and so on, but we cannot backtrack in case of the incremental system. Here you can see requirements for the later increments can continue to evolve. So whatever we are using the different stages at the later, we can update those, but the initial phase or on that phase we have already worked, we cannot return back. So we can say requirements are frozen. Now here you can see incremental development, how we will develop using the incremental approach. Now you can see this is the complete block diagram for that. Define, here you can see define outline requirements. So this is the first initial phase. You can see here define outline requirement. So what are the basic specifications or the requirement for the user, or we can say for a dedicated organization or the institution or the company. And after getting the different requirements or the specification from the user, you will go and assign requirements to increments. Okay. After that, we will design the algorithm and we will divide our work into number of phases. So after that, on each phase, we will increase step by step. So that is called the assigned requirements to increments. Okay, we will work on each phase one by one. After that, you can see here, it has the connectivity with the design system architecture. Now, for each phase or for each stage, we will design the system. Okay, we will design here design system architecture. So this is the complete, we can say, design system architecture. After that, again, this has the connectivity with the develop system increment. So here we have already developed our system, even in a phase, or we can say phase wise development. And again, we will increase step by step. After that, you can see here validate increment. Suppose if we have already worked on one phase, then we will check whether it is working properly, and we will validate the increment. Okay, so whether we are fulfilling the requirement or not, requirement of the user, and it is working as per the user requirement or not. And next, here you can see in this block diagram, integrate increment. So here we will combine all those phases. We have already worked on phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and so on. After that, we will integrate. Okay, we will combine all those steps, and finally, again, we will check our system. Here you can see completely validate system. Okay, and this validate of system, if it has some sort of problem, then you can see here system incomplete. Okay, if you are unable to get the specified output, then or as per the user requirement, as per user specification, then you can say the system incomplete. Again, you have to return here develop system increment. So you can again validate and again integrate and so on. Okay, so this is the loop system and this is the connectivity so that you can return. Now, if it is okay, if your final testing is okay, then we can say here your system is perfect. Means the software developed by you, that is called the final system. And we can say that now it is under the position of, we can say, deployment. You can deploy now. Okay, you can launch. So this is the criteria based on incremental development. Now, incremental development, what are the different advantages? Because each and every methods have pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages. So first is the customer value can be delivered with each increment. So system functionality is available earlier. Okay. So customer value can be delivered with each increment. Now we are going to check on each phase whether it is working as per the requirement of the organization. So here we have the facility. We can return back in case of the incremental development. Another advantage, we can say early increments act as a prototype to help elicit requirements for later increments. So early requirements act as a prototype. Okay, means suppose we have already worked on a phase 1, then we have the idea so that we can design similarly in the similar fashion as we have done work on step 1, or we can say at stage 1. So accordingly, we will fulfill the requirements for the later increments. Lower risk of overall project failure, because here you are increasing step by step, so the risk is very low for the failure of the project. So in this case, we can say it is one of the big advantage if we will work step by step. Okay, if we will work on the incremental development technique, then very low chance, or we can say the lower risk of overall project failure. The highest priority system services tend to receive the most testing. So here we can test the different phases on priority based. Okay, highest priority system services tend to receive the most testing. Now we can check on the priority basis, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and after that we will integrate all those. Now this is the one of the factor that is called the extreme programming, an approach to development based on development and delivery of very small increments of functionality. So how we will develop the system and how we will deliver the different functionality for a particular project relies on constant code improvement. Here, just we are, relying on the constant code improvement. We can improve our code, whatever we have written. User involvement in the development team and pair-wise programming. User involvement means just you are taking the information from the user regarding the specification. Okay, so we are involving to the user or the organization. So as per need, we can update the software or we can design uh, on each phase. Okay, so the user can also assist regarding the steps for the development. Okay, software specification. What is this? The process of establishing what services are required and the constraints on the system operation and development. So here the process of establishing the service, what type of services we are going to provide to the customer, and it has the constraints on the system operation and development. So how we can operate our system and how we will develop the system. Okay. So system operation means that after the development of a particular software, what will be the specification for the hardware. Okay. Whether the available hardware is compatible for the particular software which is developed by you. So we will check the software specification for a particular hardware. Requirements engineering process. So here, what is the requirement engineering process? So under this, we have few points. Feasibility study. Here we will study about the feasibility, whether our project or the software is feasible or not. Have no any such type of constraints, so that we can operate easily in a user friendly manner and as per requirements of the user. So this has the feasibility or have the compatibility with the other system devices. Requirements, elicitation and analysis. So what type of requirement and analysis we will do for a particular development of the software. Requirements specification. Again, this is the very important point. We must be aware by the specification. So what are the requirements specification regarding the project? Requirements validation. This is also important because you cannot launch before the validation of the software. So these points come under the software specification. So must have some sort of characteristics. Okay. Now these are the different requirements. Problem definition. What is the problem requirements? What is the definition for that? So requirements or a specification. What is this? Determine exactly what the customer and user need. So we must be aware what is the need of the customer. Okay. Requirements, develop a contract with the customer. So we have the direct interface with the customer. So as per the need or the requirement or a specification of the customer, we will start over. Otherwise, we cannot develop any software without any object. Okay. So what are the different needs of the organization? Then we will follow those specification and then we will start our work. Otherwise, it will be useless. You cannot develop any software without any object, okay, without any demand. But there are few other big system softwares like the operating system or different compilers. We can develop those. Okay. So in that case, we will check worldwide the requirements of the different user or in different countries. Okay, so that we can there we cannot check customer to customer. Okay, just we will do the survey. Suppose we are using currently the Windows 10, and now we can do sort of survey. worldwide, that what type of problems are facing currently, and what are the thinking of the organization, and what is the next requirement, and what type of problems they are facing currently whenever they are working on the current operating system. Then accordingly, after knowing sort of problems, we can overcome those problems whenever we are going to develop the new phase, or we can say the new operating system. Okay, so we will use the another characteristics, that is called the reusability, and can develop easily another system softwares. So there are few such type of operating systems in that we have no so much interaction customer to customer, but we will do sort of survey, and we uh, must be aware about all those type of problems. So what attendance zero, so much connectivity to problem with that. Now the requirements engineering process. Here we can see we will do the feasibility study and feasibility report we will get. Now here you can see we will start from the requirement elicitation and analysis. Okay, and before that we will do the feasibility study here. So after feasibility study, this is called the requirements engineering process. So how we will do the engineering process? This is the perfect engineering process. So first we will do the feasibility study and we will check the feasibility report. Okay. If it is okay here after studying the feasibility study, so that we can develop the optimized software here. Then we will move toward the requirements elicitation and analysis. So we will study again here the requirement analysis. What is the requirement analysis to run that particular software? And again here you can see we will follow after the requirement analysis. We will follow some sort of models. Okay, there are a number of models. We can use any one model during the design phase, and here you can see the connectivity requirement specification. Here the requirement analysis, here we analyze our problem, and again we will check the requirements specification, that is by the user. Okay, what are the requirements of the user? Then this has the you can see both type of connectivity. If the user unable to tell all the functions but he needs, then we will try to upgrade that, or we will try to design more than the requirements of the user. And suppose sometimes we are unable to understand, then the user will tell to the programmer or the developer that no, I do not need such type of things. Please update this. So here you can see the connectivity, and after that here you can see this will go towards the user and system requirements. So here we will check the uh, what is the user and system requirement. Now in this case you can see here we will use or follow any model for the development, and from this you can see the requirements document. So both user and system requirements and the system model, whatever we will get, the output, this have the connectivity with the requirements document. Now this is also requirements validation. So here we will validate the requirements. what are the different requirements of the user. And here finally we will prepare the requirements document. So this is called the requirements engineering process. So this is the engineering process before the, we can say, the final uh, implementation of the software. So here we will follow some model, we will choose one of the model, and here we will choose the requirement, what is the requirements of the user, and then we will check validation, and here we will finally prepare the document. And as per this requirement document, we will proceed further. Now software design and implementation. Here you can see the process of converting the system specification into an executable system. So here, after the development, software design and implementation, the process of converting the system specification. Okay, as we designed our software as per the requirements of the user or the specification, then we will change into the executable software or the system. So this is the software design. Here, design a software structure that realizes the specification. So here we will design and a software structure. How we will implement, translate this structure into executable program. So whatever we have the structure, we will translate finally into the executable program. Okay, and after that, reducing this or creating the executable program, then we can install easily on any machine. The activity of design and implementation are closely related and maybe interlinked here. So the activity, whatever we will do on the design and the implementation, these are closely related, and we can change accordingly or as per requirements. If after the designing we have done some sort of implementation, then here we can change because they are interconnected or interlinked. So this is the design process activities. What are the different design process activities? Architectural design, abstract specification. So first we will do the architectural design. We will write the algorithm and create the flow chart. Okay. So here we will prepare also the block diagram. And as per the block diagram, we will start to develop or start to design the software. Abstract specification, you are already aware by the specification. This is given by the organization to the developer. Okay, this is a sort of abstract regarding the requirements. And after that, we can elaborate that. Okay, we can develop as per our choice, but taking into consideration the specification of the user. So we have the abstract here. Interface design. So again, we will design our software, and this will provide how we will connect our software with the other devices or system IO devices or with the hardware. Component design, here we will divide our work into number of components at the design level, and then we can work easily and can manage our work. Data structure design, here we will involve some sort of programming, and we will do the coding if there is a need to develop the data structure for that. So we will do in this case. And here algorithm design, here we will design the algorithm. So this is complete design process. Okay. So before designing, we will concentrate over these 6 specification on and designs. So we will work phase wise. Now the software design process, here you can see the block diagram. So here you can see these are the basic design and specification activities. Now we are going to join these specification and design, how they are connected for the development of the design products. Now you can see this is the architectural design, abstract specification, and above that there is a requirements specification. So what are the different requirements? After getting the requirements from the user or organization, we will design the architectural, we will do the architectural design. Okay, and after that, after completing this, we will do the abstract specification, and this have the connectivity with the interface design and so on. Okay, so now as per the block diagram, you can work easily. So here we will get system architecture, software specification, interface specification, component specification, data structure, and algorithm specification. So this is the perfect block diagram. Now, due to this disturbance of the internet connectivity, only a few seconds are remaining to the Zoom class, and next class I will continue on 10:30. Okay, I have already taken your attendance. If any query, then you can ask and write on the WhatsApp group.